Hi guys, so this is part 2. Where I'm going to be talking about the repeating words and the similar word phrasings we had and the names that we had. I'm going to be talking about what I experienced personally, what the rest of my team experienced, what the other teams experienced when we were there, how we all felt, that kind of thing. So I'm going to start with the repeating / similar phrasings that we had. So we had wealthy, which was repeated 3 times. Samuel, which was repeated 3 times. Mentions of rituals 3 times. Mentions of demons 3 times. Paddy was mentioned twice, or mentioned a demon twice rather. Paddy twice, trip twice, cry twice, push twice. What's in your hand twice. We had bad, horrible things happened here. We had twice as well. We had Elizabeth come through, and we also had Lizzie come from my spirit talker. But on the Ouija board, we had Beth. So again, another shortened version of Elizabeth. So that was the repeated things that we had. So then the names that we had were Paddy, Clark, Edgar, Francis, Blanche, Beverly, Edwin, Laura, Jason, Colin, Elizabeth, Robinson, Samuel, Jones, Evelyn, Jasper, Lizzie, Nancy, Dorothy, Raymond, Reginald, Ezekiel, Susan, Ethel, Emilia, so Emilia, Joan, Isabella, Bob, Bertie, Walker, Julian, Anne, Elijah, Richard, George, Jones, Wilson, and Adam. The reason I said Elijah in air quotes is because I asked the spirit board whether there was a demon, and it said yes, or whether it was the demon rather, it said yes. And then I asked if Elijah was his real name, if he could go to yes, and if it was a name he'd chosen, could he go to no? And he went to no. So we're pretty sure that his name is not actually Elijah. I did have a very strong feeling of a demonic name coming through. I'm not going to say what the name was because when you give names of demons, it does give them power. But what I will do is I will tell you the things that we all experienced in the various rooms that we went into, and sort of what the other teams experienced as well. So I'm going to start in the kitchen, which is where we started. So in the kitchen, the spirits successfully set off the music box. There was one stick figure in the corner by the toilets on SLS, who was about 4 footish rather. On the scrying boards, we had faces go in and out, had facial hair change to dark, moustaches change, fuller lips, half black, half white, hair touched, hair pulled, top hats and glasses, lips curled, top pulled, carpenter, a younger man, wonky and droopy eyes. We had half a teenager, half an older lady. We had a teenage girl. We had... our eyes were, mine and my boyfriend's eyes were watering / sort of almost burning, and our left hands were tingling. AW picture, so automatic writing pictures, made one of the pens run out. It also drew a star shape almost, which takes us to the word star on the spirit talker. Ghost Tube said Suzanne name, and Emily, demon, and holy water. We got a 16-year-old girl coming from the Ouija board. Girl in a scrying maid, who was made. SLS camera going off outside toilet. Elizabeth, who had red hair and green eyes. English wanted to speak to Beth because we had a member of our team who was called Beth. Whiteboard was a lot of back and forth, lots of strong energy. Elizabeth was a maid whose mum worked there, and she had 2 brothers. Her brothers were Richard and Paddy, or Patrick. she was happy. One on scrying, guest felt happy and smiley. We smelled a wet dog smell and asked if her dog was called Minnie, and she was which she was, and she was owned by Elizabeth. And Elizabeth also had a dog called Cedric. Now, she also had another dog whose name we didn't get. She had 3 dogs and 5 cats, which we found out when we were in the stables. One guest saw what looked like her dad appear in scrying. Scrying older, bags under eyes, grey hair, under eyes darker. Moustache appeared with neat beard. Loss of tone in face, thinner and older. Moustache in all 4 guests at the same time. Plumper in face, grooves in forehead, round head, aging, thin hair, pulled back. Beard goes from being younger to older. Auto writing, we had Olive, possibly a teacher known to one of the guests, who taught history and science apparently, and the surname possibly began with C. Surname who possibly began with C. Now, don't forget, we had the name Clark on the Spirit Talker. Now, I'm going to go to the bedroom, which is where we went next. Now, in the bedroom, the microwave machine, it's a music box thing, was going off in a room when no one was in there. People saw a butcher, a monk, and a lady in a green dress seen during meditation. Now, we don't think the monk was actually a monk. We think it might have been this demonic entity that we felt the whole night. Tapping and dragging noises heard and uneasy feelings from one group. Meditation, 3 people saw a man in a cloak. 1 was in the bedroom, 1 was in the main door, and 1 was on the stairs. And we also saw, some people saw a woman in the bed who just had a baby. The chair was pulled out from table. Now remember what I said about poltergeist activity, objects being moved or knocked over. A man in corner clicking cold spots and a light touch. Little girl's voice sensor going off loads, getting really loud. Brenda went off once. Brenda was this doll that we had, that we were using. Human pentagram, we did like a human circle. A lady called, possibly called Rebecca Ann. The microwave box went off, placed at top of stairs. Katie flashed on table and corner. 1954 came to the mind of a guest. A flash of light under the window and by the chimney, which in the pigs video you can actually see it. Dolls went off when asked if table and chair belonged to them. K2 constantly going off by doll. Noise behind doll sounded like a s. Temperature changed from 17.8 to 18.7. And the smell of roses. Now, some people said that it smelled like lavender, but we did say it smelled like roses because it smelled like rose perfume, like a florally perfume. Now, in the... Where do we go next? The stables. So in the stables, the Ouija, the EMF read flashed related to one of the guests, following Sinead, who was one of the guests in one of the other groups, I believe, age 47, named Claudia, born in 1414 October, ? Male. Downstairs, French and German was heard. Spirit Talker app used. Kate, Jim, demon board, breath in air, bangs, knocks, girl giggle in corridor. Now, that I will talk about in a minute, because we also had remember we had a little girl. I'll talk about that in the next video, about when I talk about the findings that we found after we correlated things. There was a stick figure on the SLS reader, a small figure located in the far right corner, potentially a child, dark shadows in corner, sick emotion, 2 figures located in the room parallel to first room, personal message on Ouija, taps, noises, flash of light seen in end room opposite Ouija board and tiny tap. Katie flashed up to red a couple of times. Now, when I was in the stables, I went downstairs to do a bit of an alone challenge sort of thing. So everyone else was upstairs doing a group thing. I went downstairs to check out the 3 rooms downstairs. So there's a toilet, so I didn't really check that one out because I was boring. There was sort of a lab room, so I went in there, and that was a really heavy, dark feeling in there. And then I went across the hallway. Now, when I went across the hallway, that's when I got aggressive growl blood. Now, when I was stood in that room, I did hear a sort of humanoid, I'll call it demonic, growl in my ear. It was like that, but it was like it was a growl. So it was like that kind of thing in my ear. It's quiet, but it was definitely there. Now, as I said, we'd previously found out on the Ouija board that Elijah was not Elijah and that he was demonic. And as I said, from the Spirit Talker app, we got he killed us, he scares us, all that kind of thing. So they clearly don't, the other spirits there clearly do not like this entity. Now, the last room we went to and explored was the parlour. So the Frank's box got some good responses and 3 out of 9 on card game. So we had these cards with images on them, and the Frank's box was supposed to tell us what the image was on the card. Doing Estes said Tracy's mum's name twice. She was probably I think she was in one of the other groups, and also answered questions when Tommy had different voices come through. So that's another person from a different group. On pendulums, Frida said she was the female voice on the Frank's box. Harold, a man named George lived here, didn't want us in the house. Now, George is important because we got him on the Ouija board. And I'll tell you about that in a bit. So, name for Kelly's doll was Judy. Dolly kept going off. Female groaning noise heard twice. Chris, born in Lewis. Estes. Jim, yes. Children here in room playing with Dolly. 7 children. Does not want us to go. Likes us being here. Said they want help. Thank you. Old man, yes. Word test, Ted repeated. Ouija board, 2 spirits. Jerry, name picked up by guest when they first arrived. 23. Charlie, goodbye, wants her to go. Said that there were 6 other spirits here. Ryan, age 7, born in 1939, month born EWH. Died here, but not in this room. Making people hot and sweaty. Tess, age 6, needs a mum. And then Richard, 1857, worked in the stables. Now, I'll talk a little bit more about Richard in the next video as well, because we found out some more possible information about Richard. Heavy feeling, the hooded man. Yeah, we sort of felt that. Well, growling downstairs. Coins moved. We had like these coins set up on a box and they'd moved. Feeling sick. Anxious. Stick figure. The Frank's box. Stephen worked in a gym or another named Jim. Connected to Didcot. Briefly lived in Epsom. Aged 50. 3 children. Died in his 60s. Now, that was in the other group. So, I'm going to talk about what we correlated between what we had on the Spirit Talker and experience and what the team leaders' notes said. So, Demon, twice on my speaker, on my Spirit Talker, and once on Ghost Tube. Surnames possibly began with C. Spirit Talker said Clark. Elizabeth, Spirit Talker said Lizzie. Dark hair, Spirit Talker said black hair. People in our team felt emotional. Spirit Talker said cry. Uneasy feeling felt by pretty much everyone in our group. Spirit Talker said hiding, he scares me. We all smell the smell of roses. Old man. Spirit Talker said grandfather. Got the word old when we asked for age during Esther's method in parlour. Millie was growled at during in the stables, so that was me. Downstairs storage area, right hand side of the entrance door. Now, as I said, we felt a cat winding between my legs, and as I said, Lizzie had or Elizabeth had 5 cats and 3 dogs, and we did smell a wet dog smell in there. Now, my boyfriend said that he felt himself being pushed and was gone rigid, trying to keep himself upright. I noticed him go rigid, trying to keep upright. In the parlour, when we went into the parlour, it was so hot. It was almost like take your jacket off hot, like strip down to your bathing suit type hot. It was really warm in there. And then about 5-10 minutes of being in there, it went freezing cold, like really, really cold. So we experienced quite a bit in that room. So the whole night was just really interesting things that we felt and experienced there. And like I said, I'm going to go on to talk about some of the things that we correlated as well in part 1 of our history finding, of our research. And then I'm going to talk about some other things that we found during our research in another part of the third part. Yeah.